Well, there's a lot of good news to talk about today. The best news of all, possibly, maybe, depending on how your day goes. It's Friday. You made it to Friday. Welcome to it. Thanks for finding Wicked Radio. SAVE Act is one vote away. They only need one. Who are now the Democrats are the Democrats. Who are the Republicans that are not a yes yet on the SAVE Act, and why? We'll tell you who that is in just a second. Amazing news, though. This may be the best news of all. Even better than today being Friday. You know that stupid, annoying, absolutely useless stop-start feature in your car that does nothing but possibly burn out your starter? It's going away. Yes, it is. This is great. It's made me so happy. They've been working on it, and they're getting it done. Also, it appears that the self-deportation plan is working. CBS News, of all outlets, came up with an amazing stat about this just yesterday. We'll talk about that as well. And, of course, some Valentine's Day stuff, because we're in the red zone. Guys, I know it's an equal opportunity event, or it's supposed to be. That's how it's billed. It's if you're in a relationship, it's still mostly on us to get something done before tomorrow, because it's a big weekend. If you're involved with somebody, we'll talk about that as well. Thanks for finding me with the live stream Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. These channels here, X, Facebook, YouTube, and then the audio podcast, wherever you like to get them, posted right after the live stream. Quick programming note, just allow me this one, because I spent a lot of time on this yesterday. You may have noticed this, you X followers. Please put your notifications on if you follow me on X. And this thing started on X after Radio World, and I started doing podcasting and live stream, and it took off on there on X. So apparently, X now, the new algorithm change, hides all live streamers, and everybody's all ticked off about this. Anybody that does this stuff, hides it behind your profile picture. So right now, in real time, unless you're listening or watching on later, is the circle, red thing around my profile picture on Wicked Radio. And that's how you find the live stream. It's not showing up on feeds, not anything. But you're finding it somewhere because the numbers are still going up. But a lot of people moved over to Wicked Radio Facebook page. There's the YouTube live stream, maybe just the audio podcast later. But let me tell you something. Elon, I love you. I truly think you've saved Western civilization. I do believe that. I think you're going to get us to the moon. I think you're incredible. I think you're a genius. Thank God you're on the good side. Can you please, for God's sakes, get your dorky engineers to figure out this algorithm and what people want? Because you were the one, Elon, who said a year and a half ago you encourage everybody to put your podcasts and live streams on X. You wanted it. Well, now people can't find it. Could you fix it for us, please? Could you get it to the way it was? That's all we ask. That's all we're asking. And maybe he will. Who knows? But anyway, put your notifications on. We'll get around that. Enough of that. Let's get right to it. What's going on here? First and foremost, before we get to fun stuff, well, this is fun, though. Where are we on the SAVE Act? How close are we? Well, apparently one vote away. One of the guys that's leading the charge, along with many others, Mike Lee, Senator Rick Scott, it's been a bunch of people in the Senate side of things leading the charge. This is what Mark Wayne Mullen, senator from Oklahoma, said yesterday. He was talking to Benny Johnson, speaking of podcasters. Benny's a great one. He was talking to him yesterday on his show live. And he said, this has been the top priority for President Trump, and Elon pops up again in this conversation, since 2023, well, for many years, but since 2023, that's when they got the real information that, first of all, the elections are being cheated, and they can do it, and they really get a sense that they can do something about it. Here's Mark Wayne Mullen yesterday. If you ever doubt that this is not a top priority of this administration, oh, what does Trump really care? Does he really matter? He's out in 3 years anyway. No, this is, according to him, the top conversation, the top priority.
23 is when I really dove into it. Really, because now we're getting in the midterms and we're like, okay, what do we do to voter integrity, right? And when you started diving into it, the farther you go into, it just doesn't. I could pull up Signal messages right now that I've been getting last night that I haven't even checked yet. That's still working on this because voter integrity is the most important thing. And like I said, the way you can destroy our election system is for people not to trust our elections. And President Trump wants voter integrity more than anything, and we want to deliver that for him. And I think.
Now, is that mostly because it's popular in the polls? Of course. But I think it's something more than that. I truly do. When you hear Trump talking about the importance of elections, it truly does go beyond, well, that's just because he's been claiming that he won Georgia and he won Arizona and he won in 2020. Yeah, okay, yeah, fine. Yeah, that's part of it. I'd be pretty ticked off, too, about that, to be honest with you. But I think it's beyond that because now you have Trump. This is as opposed to the first administration. Trump now is legacy Trump. This Trump just not talking about his own personal accomplishments. He's always going to do that. You want a guy in that position to be an egomaniac. You do. Trust me on this one. Do you want him teaching Sunday school? No, you don't. But you want him thinking about legacy and beyond this and what he leaves. That's why this is top priority with election integrity. I truly believe that. When Mark Wayne Mullins says that he's getting signal messages directly from the Oval Office about this and where we are and how close we are to getting this SAVE Act passed to save elections, and quite possibly, referring to Elon again, giving this country a new life. I mean, literally, I think he means it. I think they're dead serious about this. So they're one vote away because yesterday, Senator Sullivan signed on. That means 49 senators. You know, it already passed the House. Now it's in the Senate. If they get to 50, with J.D. Vance being the vice president who would break the tie-breaking vote, they could get it done with one more. So the Democrats are the Democrats, except for John Fetterman, who's turning out to be awesome, who has the most common sense of all. Isn't that amazing? I know I've said this many times, but I'm still fascinated by it. And I've said this many times publicly as well. I feel awful for making fun of him. I feel awful for making fun of the voters in Pennsylvania for voting that guy in when, let's not forget, he had a stroke. He had a stroke when he was elected. He could barely put a sentence together. But he was saying, I'm going to be fine. Doctors are telling me it's going to be fine. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing? The guy whose brain was rewired turned out to have the most common sense out of anybody in the Democrat Party. Absolutely incredible. He's come out in favor of the SAVE Act. Will it change? Maybe. Maybe. Democrats are the Democrats. Come up with any reason you want to. I've got my own. I think because anybody that votes against this is absolutely corrupt and crooked. That's my own opinion. You can have yours if you want. But what's the story with the Republicans? What any Republican senator that has not yet signed on and voted to support the SAVE Act for voter ID and securing our elections, what is their story? Well, first of all, we're going to find out who they are. On the Republican side, Lisa Murkowski, Alaska. She's a no. Mitch McConnell from Kentucky, the old turtle. By the way, Mitch McConnell, until very, very, very recently, was for voter ID. What changed, Mitch? What changed? Somebody get to you? Susan Collins of Maine. Well, you knew that was going to be a no. And Tom Tillis from North Carolina. That's right. Think of it. Think of where we are. And ask yourself the question how we got here. Let's take Tom Tillis for a second. A North Carolina Republican senator from the South is against voter ID. What leads to that? Oh, this we could spend. I hope historians look back and they understand exactly why these people are no's. I hope they do. And I hope they are exposed, even after they're long gone, for exactly what they are. I'll say it again, and I'll say this till the day I stop breathing. There's one reason, and one reason only, why you oppose voter ID. You want to cheat elections. I don't care what anybody thinks about it. That's where you are. So that's the good news. One vote away from that happening. It really could happen. Let's get to some great news. All right, it also came from the swamp of Washington, D.C. I'll give you that. It's a swampy kind of thing. And it did come from the EPA. Now, usually when you hear something from the Environmental Protection Agency, you're like, oh, God, what are they doing now? Oh, God. Because we've been conditioned to believe that, right? We've been conditioned to get all that information. What are they doing now? They're going to restrict my life. They're going to make my quality of life even harder. They're going to tax me. It's a Green New Deal. No. Hold on. Hold on a second. We've got good news from the EPA that happened just yesterday. A whole list of ridiculous, nonsensical Green New Scam regulations and restrictions and chokeholds were taken away yesterday. A lot of them are really important concerning energy and energy production, your quality of life. Quality of life issues are incredibly important. These politicians forget this quite often. Is there anything immediately right now that would affect your quality of life and just taking a little bit of frustration of your life away? Then that stupid, ridiculous, do nothing except burn out your starter, stop-start feature in your car. Well, I got great news, everybody. It's going away. Let's remember who the new director, the new secretary of the EPA is. It's Lee Zeldin. Almost won the gubernatorial race in the state of New York. Should have. Almost won. Maybe that goes back to election integrity. I don't know. Here he was yesterday making the greatest announcement of all. This should put a smile on your face, and don't ever discount how important what's a seemingly small quality of life issue is, like the stupid stop-start feature in your car.
Sold on dealer lots all across America. And as a cherry on top, We are ending the federal government's push to get manufacturers to install that Obama switch, the almost universally despised start-stop feature. There will be no more climate participation trophies awarded to manufacturers for making Americans' cars die at every red light and stop sign. It's over, done, finished. Under President Trump's leadership, vehicle manufacturers can once again build what Americans want, not what politicians and bureaucrats in Washington demand.
That should put a smile on your face. It's gone. It's over. Get rid of it. Now, all the cars manufactured in the past 5 years are still going to have that stupid stop-start feature. Some genius will come up with a way to stop it. But the good news is the manufacturers don't have to do it anymore. As he said, Lee Zeldin said right there, an EPA participation trophy. The manufacturer said at the time, the entire time, this does nothing. This does absolutely nothing to save on fuel. It doesn't do anything to save the economy. All it does is potentially burn out your starter as you have to stop and figure out why your car is stopping at an intersection or a security gate. This is one of the greatest things. And it sounds like a silly thing. It does. But think about how many times you deal with this little frustration that adds up to all the other frustrations you have in your life. It's a huge quality of life issue. We've all called for it. But maybe the biggest sign of all is this is a sign of common sense in an administration. A common sense move to get rid of this stupid, useless little feature that they forced car manufacturers to do. And they just said, well, we want to get bailed out the next time that we're, going bankrupt. So we'll go along with the EPA and we'll play ball. So we'll put this stop-start feature, the Obama kill switch in our cars, just so we can play ball. Nobody ever thought that this did anything. No one did. No one can ever justify this did a damn thing, and now it's going away. Hallelujah. That should make you feel great about Friday. It should make you feel great too. So this is pretty fascinating. This is an amazing development as well. And I the reason why I love it is, and I always try to apply all of this stuff and how you can use it in your personal life. Yeah, the most important part is it important to your personal life? Is this something you should be, or me, we should be concerned about? This is, and we've all heard it. We've all been, you got somebody at, a dinner party, a family get-together, a barbecue in the backyard, somebody at work, anything, that is just buying hook, line, and sinker everything they're told about what ICE is doing, what the administration is doing with illegal aliens. Now, you could, and I think this is a great move, you could always say, I invite you to go to, here, I got it up on my phone for you there, Mary. I got it right here. Here's the DHS website. Here's Homeland Security. Here's the running total of criminal aliens, murderers, rapists, cartel members, gang members that they've taken off the street. I invite you to share. This is what they're really doing. Here's the running total. It's like a scoreboard. You can look at that. That's a little wordy. Here's a better answer for somebody that says that doesn't understand the full feature. They just see the images and it's like, oh, it's just so mean what they're doing. Is it really? Because here's your new answer. Somebody's chirping at your ear at work about that. I hate what they're doing. ICE out. We don't need that in their country. Here's your answer. Really? Because they have located and found and saved over 3,000 children. Are you against that? That's your answer. Because here's this new announcement from Tom Homan just yesterday, and this is incredible, and this is your best answer.
In addition to taking public safety threats off the street, ICE here in this state have located 3,364 missing unaccompanied alien children. Children that the last administration lost and weren't even looking for. That's because of the leadership of President Trump, these children were located.
I mean, that's incredible. I mean, that's even more effective. You could, if you have the time, if you're up for it, and your phone is like loaded and ready to go with the stats from DHS, you could say, oh, really? Because here's the running total of criminals they've taken off, rapists they've taken off the street. You still against ICE? You still against this effort? Here's an easier way. Here's a more diabolical answer for that, right? I hate what ICE is doing. ICE out. Not in my country. That's not, I will, no. Really? Here's your answer. Are you for human trafficking then? And leave it at that. Ask that person. Well, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Oh, because they found, let's round it up, because ICE has found, located, and saved 3,400 children. And that number's only going up. Because of what? Because of the disaster of an open border. There's your answer for that, and that's incredible. That's absolutely amazing what they're doing, but they don't get that kind of credit ever. That's why I said, remember the Monday after the Super Bowl, I said, I thought it was great after the Bad Bunny performance that they actually bought a 30-second ad telling people and reminding people who these people who are ICE agents are, their dads and their families and their Little League coaches, and they're people doing a job. It was a good human interest reminder of all that. But there's more news as far as immigration goes, and this is amazing. This is re-immigration, deportation, but not just deportation, self-deportation. This is incredible, and it's coming from, and I think this is relevant to the story, it's coming from, of all news sources, CBS News. You ready? CBS, and it was a big headline yesterday. It's one of their biggest stories. Got the most online activity anyway. I'll just read you the complete headline. CBS News again, remember. As pathways to freedom have narrowed in immigration courts across the United States. All right, that's their first angle, but that's okay. Get to the good stuff. A record number of detainees are giving up their cases and voluntarily leaving the country. In other words, self-deportation. And then you go a little bit deeper in the article because I had to read into that. And they showed a graph. That's why they do graphs. You know, it's like a PowerPoint presentation. Sometimes you need a visual representation of the point they're trying to make. They showed a graph of the number of self-deportations giving up their immigration cases and just saying, just take me home. Mexico, Nicaragua, wherever it happens to be. And it skyrockets in 2025. It's up in a couple of months, it's up even 25% of the number of cases being forfeited, and they just want to be sent home. And I will tell you this was part of the plan. This was part of the entire deportation plan that the administration had from the get-go. You don't believe me? Let's go back in the time machine. Whoop! Let's go back to 2025. In fact, this was May of 2025. This was a very big, very controversial announcement from the president from the Oval Office talking about this very same
Today I
thing.
signed an executive order to launch the first ever self-deportation program for illegal aliens. We are making it as easy as possible for illegal aliens to leave America. Any illegal alien can simply show up at an airport and receive a free flight out of our country. We have also launched a phone app called CBP Home. That's CBP Home, where illegals can book a free flight to any foreign country.
That was May of 2025. It was part of the plan, and apparently it's working. Wouldn't you do that? I mean, I don't know. I don't think anybody here can actually, speak to that life experience or whatever it is. You're in the country illegally. They caught you. You have a court case. Why go through that? Just go home. Why wouldn't they do that? And apparently it's become more. Let me ask you this. Will we see a situation where the number of self-deportations actually surpass the number of apprehensions? Now, after seeing that news report from CBS where the number is skyrocketing, I could actually see it happening. I really, really could. I don't know. We'll just see. But keep that in mind again, just as a reminder. Next time somebody's in your ear and yapping about, the common narrative about how bad Department of Homeland Security is, throw that line on them and see what they say. Oh, really? Are you for human trafficking then? Because they just saved 3,400 kids. See how that goes. Or you may not want to say that out loud at work. I don't know. It's your choice. All right. Let's get to some fun, nonsensical stuff. Actually, nonsensical. That's not nonsensical. It's important stuff because it's Valentine's Day weekend. We're in the red zone right now, and I don't care what anybody tells you. If you are in what we'll call a typical guy-girl relationship at any level, whatever it is, take that for example. I know that's not all relationships. I get it. I totally understand. Let's take that for example, though, especially if you're married. And take this from a guy that's an old married guy that's been married a long time now, decades, in fact, happily, by the way. I don't care what anybody tells you. I don't care about when they say equal rights when it comes to Valentine's Day or who's responsible for what, whether you're into it or not. It's on you, guys. It's on you, my fellow dudes, to come up with the Valentine's Day gift, which is why I'm bringing it up today, because we are in the red zone, all of us together, to come up with something for Valentine's Day. Now, your partner may not be as understanding and as accepting and as awesome as my wife, because we've gone through various stages of monetary things, how busy we are, what's available, what's not. Maybe we're in the middle of a trip or we're working or whatever it is. But here's what I've learned. You got to do something. How small or how big, it doesn't matter. It doesn't always have to be showy. You know, that's kind of that natural. It's human nature. Early on in the relationship, especially when you're still trying to court her, you're going big things. You're together a couple of decades. Maybe you're out of ideas. It doesn't matter where you are. You got to come up with something. So let's go to Instacart. It's a good thing. You know, I think the actual commercial outlets like this are great examples of who to go to for polls and get an understanding of what people are actually buying, right? And you tend to think, oh, nobody's buying flowers anymore. Nobody really buys candy anymore. Oh, yes, they do. And I think the main reason is exactly what I said right there. You got to do something just to show an effort. That's the main thing. Trust me on this one. That's the one universal we can take away out of Valentine's Day. So what are people buying? Flowers, obviously. Sales of fresh-cut roses jumped by 1,900% on Valentine's Day each year. Stuffed animals, that's still a thing. Again, almost 1,900 jump in sales. Careful with the stuffed animals thing. I think stuffed animals is one where you can't just have the stuffed animal. That's an accompaniment gift. You know what I mean? Like the stuffed animal along with a bigger gift. Just careful with that one. Candy, of course. Careful of that one, too, because you probably have, I just started Ozempic. Why are you giving me candy? I don't know. That might be it. Chocolate orders will jump 111%. Chocolate-covered fruit, that became a big thing with, I guess edible arrangements kind of started that whole deal. A 4,700% jump compared to the average day. That's definitely a timing thing. Got to get that right. And then there's, do I say this one? Yeah. We're all adults here. There's a 62% jump in condom sales, says Instacart. You can buy condoms on Instacart for Valentine's Day. I guess for obvious or not so obvious reasons. I don't know. My main takeaway is, all I'm saying is you got to do something, how big or how small. That's my advice. And my advice on this is keep an eye on those politicians who are voting no on the SAVE Act, especially the Republican ones. Why? And just ask yourself why. They're going to have to answer for that if this thing saves. They should answer for it now. They should have been answering for this years ago. And again, the best takeaway of all, the best thing you can do with this new news of what ICE just found, over 3,300 kids they found and saved through their efforts. Next time somebody's yapping at you about how bad ICE is, say, well, they just saved literally thousands of kids. Are you against that? Thanks for finding me. I appreciate you. Despite all the troubles with X these days, if you missed the beginning of the show, yeah, apparently it's a new algorithm thing. It doesn't show up in your feed. You have to go to the person who's live streaming, no matter who it is, like me, go to their profile picture and click it, and that's where you find the live stream. Elon, I love you, and thank you for what you've done for our country. Fix the freaking algorithm, would you? And then I'm out. But also on Facebook and YouTube and the audio podcast, wherever you like to get them as well. Have a great weekend. Have a happy Valentine's Day, no matter what you do. Do something, guys, I'm telling you. Make it a wicked awesome Friday. I'll talk to you later.